New paperwork? What the heck is everybody talking about? I don't want nothing to do with it. Or do I? You know what? Hey, we're going to be right back. We're going to tell you what it is, what it's about, what you have to do. And we got Trucker CFO Colton Lawrence going to be here. He's going to tell us all about it because he's a smart man and we're not. And yeah, that's how we're going to do things. Stay tuned.
Paying too much for trucking insurance? What if you could save more by making one simple phone call and keep more profit? You could very well do just that with one simple call to Seabright Agency, 800-366-6466. Call now.
Now here's a question that all owner-operators and small fleet owners should consider. What happens when you access the unrivaled advantages that are available through the ES Advantage program? We asked Jeff and Charlie from Contractors Corner to share their thoughts on how they've been able to utilize the discounts and services that are a part of the ES Advantage.
Your business will make you money if you do well at that business. And ES Advantage in trucking, they do really well at providing those services. So the effect that ES has had on our personal trucking operations, not even talking about what we do on the consulting arena, I've been able to save thousands of dollars a year in fuel because of the relationship with them. I have a new accountant that I work with, Trucker CFO, that I learned about from ES Advantage.
They're giving you that 10,000 yard kind of support from behind that creates a way for you to succeed, which is one of the things that we love, because anything you can do to help someone succeed is going to help them succeed. They make money by making sure you make money.
Now, if you're an owner-operator or small fleet owner and you would like to learn more about how you can drive savings to the bottom line of your business, the ES Advantage program has the discounts and services that deliver the kind of unrivaled advantages that are designed to help you improve your overall operation. Get connected with the ES Advantage today.
Dun, 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 dun. Sing it with me, Jeff. Come on.
Alrighty then,
bro. Hey man, just left me out. I feel like we're on the wrong side. Jeff can't handle that. Stop it. There we go. See, this way it makes me feel like I'm a little bit closer to you.
you know, you said up here in the comments that you don't do pure politics, but you always put me on the left. Why is that? Why do you got to be on the right?
Huh. Has nothing to do with politics. Everything to do with video presentation, because normally, or back when we started doing this, I made all those lower thirds, right? Like here. Wait, I can't show one as an example, because you know what? I think I got rid of them all. I don't have one anymore.
Okay.
Like, you know, our big logo always pops up down there. And if you're over here, then look, it's touching your neck, and that's weird. I don't know. It's just weird.
Okay.
Stop it, Jeff. Anyhow, what's going on, everybody? Like, everybody's here. I don't know. There's a bunch of people. Big shock. Craig Hutchinson giving himself a trophy. Just saying, and a medal, because he was first, like, way early today, like 2:02 Eastern time. Guy is just, I swear he's like sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
And then James Bond popped in right after that. And then Life on 18 Wheels. Sean Fairman's like, yeah, I'm here now, but I won't be there for the live show. I'll catch you guys on the replay. And Victor Jackson, bet like Victor. Bet. That was the thing my mother-in-law used to say all the time. It was so much funny. She spelled her name Leybe. Leyba. Bet like Victor, you puto. What? No, she wouldn't say things like that. Anyhow, I'm gonna get in trouble for that one, I'm sure. Wimpy McPost in here was having a bad day, bro. I'm sorry. Hamey was here. He's gonna replay Warrior later. Who did I say was gonna replay? No, Sean Fairman didn't say he was gonna replay earlier. It was Hamey.
16 hours and 59 minutes.
I want to put Cole on right now. It's a perfect opportunity. Dang it, man. Dang it, I missed it. I should have. Bam! Look, there's Colton Belly. What's up, man? Sorry.
I had to sneeze, so I covered the camera and muted myself.
Man,
Better than I did on the radio a couple weeks ago. You guys will get a laugh out of this. I'm on
nice.
Sirius XM radio, and I've got a mute button. I've got to cough up some kind of phlegm or something. I think I mute myself and I start hacking, only to find out when I'm done hacking, I hit the mute button, and that's when I really muted myself.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was coughing up loogies in front of a million people.
That is great.
Nice.
You know what? Jeff does that every week. Don't feel bad, man. He's just like, it's like drips on his face.
Hey, the day I turned 50, I got a license to do that stuff.
Just gave up. Just gave up. Anyhow, Mike Henderson's worried that this is gonna be an all political show today, and I don't think it is. I don't do all
Politics?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who wants to talk politics? Not me.
Right? And Matt Nisson's all up in here. Let me just go through this list real fast. There was a bunch. Oh, I can't pass it up. Guy's name is Dick Cheese. Got to put that up. I apologize to anyone who that might offend. Bitcoin, John.
Technically, it's not you offending them though.
Right.
You're just reading what's on the screen.
I'm reading what. No, see, you really got to be careful with that because people will put some things on the screen that I cannot read.
So now it's going to get really entertaining, is what you're saying?
Yeah. No, don't do that. Please. Jonah Green, good to see you. Michael Fowler. Good Lord.
So I have a question for James Vaughn. If you want to
do it,
reach out to me in a PM or something. I am interested in your growing operation there. I looked at doing saffron a few years back, and that's an interesting thing to grow. People pay a lot of money for that. So I'm interested to know how your saffron crop went this year. I think it's the first year he's doing it.
Yeah. And he said he's already got it all sold. The first 20 acres sold. It's like just pulled it out of the field today. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's got to be great. I don't even know what saffron's for. It's a color.
Spice.
That's right.
It's a spice. It's one of the most expensive spices.
That's amazing.
It's like $100 an ounce to buy in the store.
So real quick, I had a thing that I wanted because I was trying to be like a professional guy, Colton, right? And I had this stuff already, but let me share my screen because when we dip into this, I figure people should know that there's already scammers out there, Colton.
Imagine that.
And this is from the fincen.gov site. Right there, alert. FinCEN has been notified of recent fraudulent attempts to solicit information from individuals and entities who may be subject to reporting requirements under the Corporate Transparency Act. The fraudulent correspondence may be titled Important Compliance Notice and ask the recipient to click on a URL or scan a QR code. Those emails or letters are fraudulent. FinCEN does not send unsolicited requests. Please do not respond to these fraudulent messages or click on any links or scan any QR codes within them. So we got that out of the way. If you think it's FinCEN, it ain't. They're not sending you nothing unless you ask them to.
Yep.
That's right.
And on that note, what the hell are we even talking about?
We're talking about FinCEN, we're talking about CTA, and we're talking about BOI.
That's a lot of acronyms.
Help at all? Yeah.
LMNOP.
So 3 new acronyms for people to remember. So CTA, Corporate Transparency Act. We got BOI, which is Beneficial Ownership Information, and then I'll add a reporting at the end of that. And then we've got, what was the other one I said? FinCEN, Financial Crime Enforcement Network. So that's a government agency. That's the website that you're on there, Charlie. This is the FinCEN website for. Right?
I love how the government has started naming its organizations to sound kind of suspiciously like cartels themselves.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying.
Ma'am, stop running. I'm from FinCEN. Here's my badge. It's a lot of letters, bro. I don't even know. I don't have a black SUV, but I do have a pink Toyota. Just saying. I'm just playing, FinCEN. I love you guys. I don't even know what you do yet.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff, but part of the Corporate Transparency Act, which I don't even remember when it was signed, but starting January 1st, 2024, there's a whole bunch of new reporting that you have to do. It's not an annual report. It's unless you move or unless the ownership of your entity changes, you only have to do it one time. The next time you have to do it is anytime that stuff does change. So address, ownership, things of that nature.
So it's not every year.
So
not
this
every
is
year.
no different than our initial filing then, Colton. Is it?
Well, in terms of, I guess in terms of how often you have to do it, you could say that, but the purpose of it is much, much different, right? You have an entity. Let's back up a little bit here. What the government is wanting to accomplish through this beneficial ownership reporting requirement is they are wanting to kind of strip away all of the layers of entities and get right down to the who and where does the money go. So you hear when you get into financial crimes, you see it with very prominent politicians, very prominent business people. You see it with drug cartels. You see it all over the place where they will get layer upon layer of business entity, LLCs oftentimes. And the purpose of this reporting is to kind of just strip all that away and say, at the end of the day, who are the individuals where the money is going? Who gets the benefit of it? Which person? And so that's what this does. And unfortunately, it requires each of us that have LLCs to file that report and say, yeah, that money is coming to me or coming to me and my spouse or me and my partner or whoever it may be.
It's to
Come on,
combat
Colton.
the
We
shell
all
companies and stuff like that, right?
come on, Colton. Everybody knows you're a married man. Charlie's a married man. The money does not go to us. Come on. So why are we filling this out? Our wives should be filling that out.
Right?
There you go. Put their names on it.
Well, since my wife owns 49% of my company, she has to be on that document.
She does. Greater than, I forget if it's 20 or 25%.
25.
25. Yeah. So
Charlie's
greater
been
than,
reading today.
Yeah, good.
It hurts my head.
Yeah, I saw Tim said, he says shell companies. I think he meant shell companies. Yeah, that's right. Shell companies. There we go. Yeah, shell companies.
So,
it's a good fancy way of saying, the way people hide money. And this is to try and strip all that away and make it harder for people to hide money.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. That's just a funny statement right here. Governments and bankers wanting to catch criminals, the pot calling the kettle black. What? I'm not starting that.
That's an opinion. That's an opinion.
Comments that are up there, and I like it.
we believe in the First Amendment here. So, Colton, I first heard about this from another Facebook group where people are like, do we have to file? And people are saying yes, and they had a link to the website. But when I followed that link, and this is what confused me, everything in the link that they had was talking about Western Union and money orders and basically people that are money exchange businesses. It had nothing to do with us. So who actually has to do this? Is it all LLCs? Do you have to do it if you're sole prop? What's the deal on that?
Well, let's pull up. Give me a second. I'm going to pull up the exemption list. There's like 20.
I was just going to pull it up too.
23 or 25 exemptions. Let's see who gets to it first, Charlie.
I feel smart today.
Let me guess. Banks are on there, right?
Banks are on there. Yes, they are exempt.
I can't remember where I found it.
No, I read another article about it though. So yeah, I'm being a little funny, guys, but the reason is because banks are under so much regulatory scrutiny as it is that, they got those guys covered, apparently.
That's kind of the theory behind the people that are exempt or the companies that are exempt is that they are already subject to so much red tape, so to speak, that it's pretty clear to the government already who in fact is filing. Now, it includes publicly traded companies. It includes, is that the list right there? I was trying to talk and find it and you beat me to it. Yeah. So how many are there? 20 something.
23.
23. Okay. I couldn't remember if it was 23 or 25. Yeah. So banks, credit unions, all kinds of banking entities, money services. That's probably like your Western Union type stuff, Charlie.
Right.
So large companies, which when you get into that, it's primarily publicly traded companies. Anybody dealing with financial services, with exchange of like stocks, So like investment entities, those types of things, they don't have to file. Insurance companies, that's the venture capital, that was what I was getting to. So investment firms, if you're inactive, you don't have to file. So what that means is if you go through this, you will not find anything that would lead you to believe that a trucking company, regardless of the size, unless they are
Right.
publicly traded, would be exempt from this. So your listeners, single member LLCs, S corporations, multi-member LLCs, if you happen to have had filed as a C corp, which I don't recommend, but if
Right.
you did, you're still subject to this.
What about a
So-
large operating company?
It says they are exempt. When you dive into what that means,
Right.
it's, I don't know that any of us qualify as large.
Right.
Uh,
It's just funny. They put things like that and you're like,
Yeah.
all right, you didn't give me a definition. What's large? Is it 37? Is it 42,000?
You can
Well, you know-
dive into what large means.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's see.
I'm sorry. It tickled me.
No, it's all right.
I mean, I consider my house a large house, but that's just because it's bigger than the last one I had.
Right.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we all need to file this. The timing by which you have to file, so it's a little bit up in the air. If we go by what the rule currently says, if you're an existing entity, you have until December 31st of 2024. Okay. If you file or set up your entity, again, primarily an LLC, but if you choose something else, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change. If you file after or on or after January 1st, then you have 30 days. So if you're thinking about going into business and you're listening to this, file now, get it done, and then
90
you've
days.
got until, say that again.
90 days.
What's 90 days?
The reporting company created or registered on or after January 1st, 24, and before January 1st, 25 will have 90 calendar days after receiving notice of the company's creation on registration to file its initial BOI report. See, I do read sometimes.
Okay, so, show me where you're getting that from.
It's on
Because
the
this is what's been up in the air, and there was
Right.
some. So they. Let me read this. A reporting company on January 1, 2024, and before we'll have 90 calendar days. So they perhaps something passed the Senate today that I don't know about. There was a bill that passed the House that was going to extend the reporting deadlines. And I have not been checking the news today or following this, so I'm going off of what I knew as of yesterday. It was 30
Right.
days. Their website now says 90 days.
It says if you do it
so perhaps it
after
passed.
January 1st, then you will have 30 days. January 1st of 25, then you'll have 30 days. It's down at the bottom here.
So they're baking in the fact that they're baking their incompetence into the thing. Because
Yeah,
they know
so
that they're not going to have
if you
everything ready
did
on
it-
time anyway.
Yeah, and so actually this is the correct wording. This isn't actually a new one though. The paragraph you highlighted prior, Charlie,
Right.
that is if you set up your entity this year, 2020, this coming year, you will have 90 days.
Right.
And if you
here,
set
yeah.
it up the year after, you'll have 30 days. So see, they're just
Why do they make it
sorts
so
of
damn
messed up.
crazy?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's smart because we all know that
Sorry.
whenever something new like this comes in, I mean, look at something like Obamacare, right? Comes into law, but they had nothing in place to enforce it, and it took them 2 years before they could actually get everything up and running. So maybe they're actually just baking that time into it this time. So this is an interesting question, and we're going to have to play mind reader a little bit here. I created an LLC years ago, but did absolutely nothing with it. So if a guy has an LLC, but he hasn't done anything with it, does he still have to file this thing?
If it's
he has an
inactive,
LLC?
Yeah, if it's inactive, you fall into one of those 23 exemptions.
Right.
Okay.
But if you're silly and you're renewing that every year, That would make it active, whether you're making money or not.
Right.
Yes.
Oh
Yep.
God.
If it is
I know
active
podcasts.
with the state, so whatever state you filed it with, if it's active with that state, you need to file.
And so, and this is something I think we need to be clear about. So I'll put the question up. Like in my case, Matt Nissa says, owner operator, no LLC or anything. It's just operating as a sole proprietor. No structure to it. Does he need to worry about this?
No, it's only if you have filed as an entity with the state. So if you're a sole proprietorship, you're not considered although you're in business for yourself, you're not a reporting entity.
Right. And you didn't have to register with the state and all that nonsense. So
Right. This is only for LLCs, partnerships, S corps, C corps. If you're a sole prop, you do not have to.
nice. Yeah.
You also don't have to pay your $15 a year to Utah just for the privilege of saying, yes, I'm still in business.
Right.
Right.
By the way, well, what is it in Florida, Charlie, the yearly fee?
Oh God, you would ask me. I got to pay it.
I think it's
Yeah, I think it's
125, but I might be
I
wrong.
think it's 125.
Yeah.
It's substantially more than that if you miss the deadline, which is way long. And yes, I missed it once. I was like, that was stupid.
Yeah, if you get shut down by Florida, to reinstate your entity, you have to pay. You have to pay for your annual reports, and then you have to pay a penalty. I had one client. He was paying like $1,500 to get it reinstated. That
Ooh.
just went to Florida. That had nothing to do with my fee. $1,500 to Florida to get it reinstated. So.
Yeah, when I did mine, I want to say it was right around $550 because I don't know. I'm like, oh, I'll do it next week. And then totally just spaced it. and you get like 4 months to file the damn thing. And I just forgot all about it. I was like, oh, look, I got a letter from my registered agent saying you're an idiot. And I said, yes, sir, you're right.
So specifically talking to the Matt Nissens of the world, Matt does pretty well. I don't think he's doing the numbers that I don't think he would benefit from an S corp right now. I just wanted to say real quick that a lot of you guys that are doing the Swift or the Panther or whoever, your lease to a carrier, be very, very careful about when you decide to pull the trigger on a business entity. Because one of the things I found out after I met Colton, so things this year did not go nearly as well as they have in the past. And so if I was to be making that decision today, I would not have an S corp. That's based on numbers from 2 years ago. Colton, what happens if I decide to say, okay, it's just not beneficial. I'm going to not be an S corp anymore. I'm going to go back to being just a regular LLC. That puts me in a position where I can't redo it for 5 years, right?
That's correct. Yeah. If you or if the IRS revokes your S corporation status, you cannot reapply for S status for 5 years.
So you got to make sure that it's the right time to make that move, that it is absolutely benefiting you.
Hey, real quick, Kathleen, who's in the background, one of these days we'll get her to come on the show, Charlie.
Nice.
She found a definition for us of large.
She's
company.
awesome.
Yeah. So a large operating company, they are exempt if they employ more than 20 full-time employees in the U.S., have a physical office in the U.S., and reported U.S. gross receipts or sales of more than $5 million on last year's business return.
So only 20 employees.
Yeah.
That's
so Charlie,
something harder than that.
Charlie, that's going to be us in like 2 months, right?
Right. Yeah. It's going right now. Heck yeah, bro.
Running big fleets of 20 trucks and yeah.
Yeah.
But it does not apply to very many owner operators.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're still an owner operator and you have 20 plus trucks with company drivers in those trucks, you must have a really good team behind you, because that gets pretty difficult. Generally, you got to step out of the truck by truck 4 or 5 is generally what I see.
Right.
Yeah.
That was my old number. Was I needed 5 trucks to replace the income of my single truck that I was doing at the time, and Not until then could I get out of the truck. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was hard to manage 3 trucks while being in one of those trucks.
It is. Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So, yeah. I'm sorry, we got sidetracked there. So, good God. I apologize to everyone out there. It's squirrels, and I can't help it. It's squirrel season.
Yeah, but we're going down the rabbit hole that Matt Nissen is giving us. So
Look,
Yeah.
this is good stuff.
go for it, Matt. You're going to
So,
fix it and save our
what
show.
reasons would we want to create an LLC or S corp? Probably not for the reasons that most people think, right, Colin?
Well, the reasons you would want to create an LLC. So 2 separate questions. Why would you want to create an LLC? I always have to tell people I'm not an attorney, so I can't give legal advice, right? Because when you start talking LLCs and that, technically you're supposed to be a lawyer. However, I can talk about the tax implications of having an LLC. So high level, what does an LLC do for you legally? It's going to give you some protection of or some separation of your legal assets and your your personal assets and your business assets. There we go. So it creates that separation. That's important. Consult an attorney on whether or not it's important for you to be able to separate your assets, personal and business. That being said, from a tax perspective, the LLC, if it's a single member LLC, does not change anything in the way you file. So if you're a sole proprietor and you file on Schedule C, or you're a single member LLC, the IRS still sees you as a sole proprietor for tax purposes, not diminishing any of the legal benefits that you get from it. So why would you want to do that? Well, if it doesn't change anything in terms of the way you are taxed, the reason you would want to do it is if your business is growing and your income is getting to a level that it would be beneficial to have an S corporation, then having that LLC gives us the opportunity to do that. And at that point, we can save some pretty significant money on taxes. So you can't do it until you have the LLC. So it's kind of, you could, in theory, file for your LLC and elect S status right away. And that's okay. That's perfectly legitimate. In fact, that's the correct way to do it, because you have 2 months and 15 days from the day you set up your LLC to file a timely S corp election. You can make a retro election, and you can also make it each and every year. Let me rephrase that. You can make the S corp election 2 months and 15 days from the start of your financial calendar year. Okay, so for all of us, it's usually calendar year, January 1st. So each year, if you're not an S corporation, you have until March 15th to make a timely election for that current year. And then once you make that election, you're an S corporation moving forward. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yes.
But if you have not made that election and you have just cause, you can file what they call a retro election after that 2 months and 15 days and get the benefits going back to the beginning of the year.
But just to reiterate, if you elect an S corp in a year like this year, and you're like, oh, or you started, the beginning of last year, this year, and you're like, oh man, this sucks, I'm gonna just drop it and go back. Remember, 5 years, man.
Yeah, you can't be flipping back and forth. That doesn't work that way. And typically, the threshold at which we want to see people in terms of net income is about $70,000. Once you hit 70 and above, it's generally beneficial. And yeah, that's been tough for folks this year. We still have quite a few that are, but a lot aren't. And it's just one of those things where if you're under 70 and you are an S corporation, you don't necessarily want to revoke just because you were under 70 this year. Just hope that you get back up over 70.
Right.
And there's a host of other things you have to do when you elect that S corp. You have to actually pay yourself a reasonable wage. You have to do this. You have to do that. There are my business expenses went up when I went S corp because I wasn't just putting money into a bank account anymore. I pay myself on a W-2, which requires a payroll service. And that can be, it's not a lot of money though, Colton, for payroll services when you look at it. I know that you work with ADP, and they're right around $100 a month, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I went with a much less expensive one, but I want you guys to know, if you go the route I did, be prepared to do a lot of stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only help
hair out.
the only help I got from my payroll company is, hey, you need to file this thing. You've only got 30 more days, or you might go to jail. And I'm like, well, what is this thing? And they send me a link to a government website. So
that's your quarterly filings for withholding, your 940, 941s. Yeah, there's trade-offs. I don't generally recommend people try to tackle those things. That's why we go with ADP. And they handle all of that for you. They do all those filings. Also, we have then direct access to your payroll reports so that we can pull that in for bookkeeping purposes. Doesn't require you to send us anything, so we pull that in. And then also we have direct access to your W-2s, or W-2, depending on how many of you there are, and that helps for tax preparation purposes. So $100 or so a month is going to basically take it off of your plate, or you go a less expensive route and you're doing a lot of it.
Dipping back into this BOI, the beneficial ownership information. God, Kathleen, thank you for typing all that out, because you're awesome, because then I can just look at the screen and it's right there. Anyhow, going back to the BOI. So are we going to have to pay a CPA or an accountant or something like that, or a lawyer to file this stuff for us?
You don't have to.
Well,
do I recommend it? Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing. We don't even really know what all is going to be entailed. They have not released the website or opened up the website to show what it's going to be. It won't open up until January 1st. And so we're going to be scrambling a bit, along with all the other providers, third-party service providers. We're going to be scrambling a bit to kind of see what is involved. I've heard everything from it won't be any more difficult than applying to get your library card, to, yeah, this is going to take an attorney or a CPA 3 hours.
Oh, Lord.
So who knows? Somewhere in between, probably. And we will charge for the service. We have not set a price point yet, because we're waiting to see, again, what's involved in it.
Right.
And just how long
come on,
it's
it'll
going to
be
take
$3, but it's going to take you 19 hours to file every single one, Colton. It'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, you figure if it does take an attorney 3 hours, most attorneys I know are charging $300 to $500 an hour.
Right. Good.
Right.
God.
So, you figure $800 to $1,500 to get this thing filed if you go through an attorney.
Let's pray.
We're not going to be near that much, but we have to be compensated for our time, right? So we're going to figure out how much time it takes us, and then we're going to be talking to all of our clients about this, and we will start to include it in our filings that we do for folks that set up new entities. So more to come on that.
Yeah, okay, here's our political crap. Ready? Why do they have to make this crap so difficult? And they announce this stuff. Oh, January 1st, we got to start doing this. And they don't even know what the damn form looks like yet.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to get this done starting January 1st. If you don't, you're going to jail for 10 years, and it's a $500 a day fine. And how do we do it? Well, we don't know yet.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hang tight.
Okay.
It's January 5th. Your website's crashed. It hasn't shown up yet. What the heck? Don't worry. We're only going to charge you half price for your penalties. Don't worry.
We'll put you on an easy payment plan.
Yeah. You can back pay.
And as we just saw, Charlie, by looking through the website, it's fluid. Stuff is still changing. We've written a blog, and our blog, I think we posted the blog 3 days ago. It's already out of date. Right. Because there's been stuff change, and there are more changes probably coming down the pike with this bill that I'm waiting for the Senate to pass, which will give some extended deadlines on all this stuff.
So what exactly is this bill? I mean, you touched on it, but what are they exactly trying to do?
They're wanting to essentially give everybody 2 years if you're an existing entity, So 2 years
Okay.
to file it. So instead of December 31st of 24, you'd have until December 31st of 25, and then 90 days if you file or set up your entity in the coming year, which apparently that's what the website is now saying, is if you set it up in the coming year, you do have 90 days. I don't know. I'm going to
Just
wait till
curious.
January 1st and start
Right.
to do it
Just
then.
curious. I'm playing devil's advocate. If it's, well, they're probably going to make it super difficult, and that's why they want to add the extra time. I was going to say, it seems like it could be a fairly straightforward type of filing, all the pertinent information, individual officers, and, those who have 25% or more in control of the company, right? You wouldn't think it would be that big of a deal. Why would they need 2 years? I don't know, man, but whatever.
I don't
But
know.
then the guys that are filing brand new companies have to do it right away. So, there you go.
Well,
Well,
at least
Charlie and I think about solutions to all sorts of things, like the load problems that they have at the Target DC he runs out of and things.
Oh,
It just seems to me, Colton, and this is where I am going to get a little bit political and probably tip my hat a little bit. But, this red tape stuff, this is basically information that the government already flipping has, man.
right.
I mean, if all they have to do is look at my documents that are filed with the state of Utah to see who my officers are, what the percentage of ownership is, who we are, where we live, what our social security numbers are, eye color, how many kids, all of that is there already. And yet we've got to do this all over again.
and that's why a lot of people think there's going to be more to it than just getting a library
Right.
card,
Right.
right? Because they're like, yeah, this information is already available. Why do we have to do this? That's been a lot of people's argument. But we don't know until we see it. So
Right. And I mean, they're talking about, if you don't file this stuff by their deadlines and, like if you made a mistake or you're trying to correct a mistake or an omission, you have 90 days. And if you don't get it done within the 90 days, then you're looking at, civil and criminal penalties. I'm like, wow.
Well, it's like I don't know if it was you or the interviewer when you were on the Nemo show about this, Colton, but it's like the census. You need to do this or else.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just more stuff.
I'm just glad there's a little bit more structure to this than the PPP. I don't know if you guys remember that. We were
Yeah.
we were helping people file to get PPP loans, and that was a freaking disaster. Like, no wonder the government gave away so many billions of dollars to people that shouldn't have got it, because it was a disaster.
And aren't they going after
So,
the people that shouldn't have got it, even though they gave it to them? They said they could have it.
yeah, they're going after people that filed fraudulently. Also on your ERC. So this is one that we get a lot of calls on. The employee retention credit. I'm sure you guys have seen, and your listeners have seen, you'll get phone calls. Usually you get emails where it's like, hey, you're automatically qualified to get, $25,000 per employee. Don't miss out. Give us a call. And two things. One, the government has shut down ERC credits for the time being because there was so much fraud going along with them. Two, when it does open up, it will be a 100% audit rate. So every single person that gets one will be audited
Right.
for the ERC. Don't think that means your entire tax return is getting audited, but yeah, there's gonna be a lot more scrutiny on it. And then the fact of the matter is the vast majority of truckers don't qualify for the ERC. Why? What happened when COVID hit to rates?
Right.
Right? Rates went through the freaking roof, and you guys were making a killing, right? I mean, it was a lot of people were making a killing. And so go ahead.
That was one of our first conversations, Colton. You asked me if I'd taken a PPP loan or any of that, and I was like, dude, I didn't need it.
Right.
I had more work than I could handle. I was wishing we could say this now, Charlie, because we have ELDs that we can't get away from, but I was wishing for the days of the paper log back then.
Right.
That
was the time you want to be running 70, 90,000 miles an hour and, running outlawing your logs, man, because it was
So,
hot.
Colton, I don't know if you know the bill number off the top of your head, but I bet Kathleen could get it for us real quick.
What do you mean the bill number? I'm not sure what that.
Oh, the
that's
one,
asking.
the one that was going through the Senate or whatever you're talking about.
Oh, sorry. The bill number. No, I do not know the bill number. Let me see if I can find it. I'm not very good at multitasking, but I'll see if I can.
Apparently, we're gonna get a FinCEN identifying number.
And there you go, Colton. You got beat.
Look at her, dude. Kathleen's awesome.
We're gonna say this in front of our tens of followers. Kathleen needs a raise, Colton.
He's like, I'm never coming on here again. Never mind. Shut up. You bastards.
But yeah, we knew people, Charlie and I personally knew people that were going after those PPP loans and were like, dude, when was the last time you were home? Oh, probably before COVID hit. Why is that? Well, there's just so much work.
Yeah.
Why are you asking for a PPP loan?
Right.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, because it's free money, and you're not going to have to give it back. Right.
Well, and there were, and you know, there were the guys on XM were telling people, hey, it's free money. Have the opinion you want, but it's free money. Go get it, guys. And a lot of guys did.
Yeah. Go get it. And then just know that in a couple of years from now, you're going to be dealing with, 15, 20% inflation. Just
right.
Saying.
What? Who thinks about that crap?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, man?
Thank
That's
you,
insane.
government.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it makes my head hurt a little bit. Look at that. They're even chanting in the chat, man.
We started a movement. So yeah, one of the things, Colton, since you're talking about it's going to become part of your regular service when people file for their LLCs through you. And I just wanted to point out that, so I filed my LLC through the 800-pound gorilla, as we like to call him around here. Terrible experience. And then when Charlie and I decided to actually form a partnership for Contractors Corner, we went through you. And the difference was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Night and day.
Within 2 days, I got an email from Colton's office saying, okay, here's the link to the DocuSign. You both need to sign this, this, and this. All right, give me my couple $100, whatever it was. It was such a reasonable fee that I don't even remember what it was. And it was done like in a week. All legal, all filed, done. And so I am assuming that those people that did not file their LLC through you and are wanting to pay the service to get this done is going to be similar. It's just going to get done. You're going to get notification that it's done, and it's done. And there's value in that. I just want to point that out. There's value in that. Charlie and I were talking earlier today, and we were wondering, can we save a couple bucks by just doing it ourselves? And we don't know if we could even do that without messing it up, because we don't know what the form looks like.
Right.
And don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
we may look at this and decide it is as simple as getting your library card. Go do it. Maybe.
Right.
I doubt it. Mm-hmm. I really do. I think it will be more involved than that, more time consuming than that. And so that's where we'll step in and take it over and do it for a reasonable fee.
Yeah. And again, me, Colton, I like to point out the value of things. I'm really big at, even when I go shopping for a dishwasher or something, I'm looking at the cost of ownership, not the cost of purchase. There is value in me not spending the time to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when we find out exactly what it's going to take to do this, we will have a recommendation, either go to Colton or do it yourself. But we need to see what it's like. Right now, we're just trying to get the information out there that this is coming, because your carrier's not going to tell you this is coming.
Right.
I could guarantee you that.
I have not heard that California thing they were talking about. What the hell?
Oh, have you heard about that, Colton?
Say it again.
Do you have trucks that go to California?
I mean, we have clients that go in and out of California for sure. Yeah.
So there's a new requirement for California if you're going to go there. It's $30 a year to register, and you have to have an emissions test done 4 times a year.
I'm just saying people should just boycott California.
So what I told people was, on my paid for truck, that's 2016, that one's never seen California again. even after I get it fixed. It's just
Right.
never going there. And the guy's like, well, there's so much business there. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not paying the $30. Second of all, the truck is 8 doggone years old. And yes, I maintain the emissions system better than most, but come on, man. You have to do an emissions test 4 times a year.
Hey, Mike Ballard asked, how do we get Colton Services? And I got a quick answer to that because it's scrolling right across the bottom of your screen.
Yes.
Just give them a call. You can go to the website, truckercfo.com. You can send an email to info@truckerservice at truckers. Let me start over. I can't talk. You can send an email to info@truckercfo.com, or you call 800-533-4230 and do it that way. And they will get back to you. What's your normal turnaround on any various contact methods, Colton?
1 business day on those types of communications. You can do it like Craig Hutchinson just did. I know he's made a couple comments here. He just downloaded our business guide part 1. So we've got his info. We'll be reaching out to Craig. Mike, same thing. Call us, email us, download the business guide, whatever it may be, and we'll get in touch. And might I say, this is a great time to make the switch. So for for all of you that have been using the 800-pound gorilla, January 1 is a great time to sign up for our services. Even if you want them to do your tax return because they've done all your bookkeeping and maybe your tax return is included in the price of what you've paid for.
Right.
That's fine. Do that, but start with us Jan 1, and then we'll take it forward from there, and we'll do your tax return for 2024. If you don't want them to do your tax return, by all means, you don't have to. You would need to pay us to do your tax return for 2023, but we're happy to do it.
One word of caution on that, though, for folks that might want to go that route, make sure you download everything that other firm has of yours before you cut ties with them. Because if you do not, they own that information, and you're going to have to pay them to get it at that point.
Yeah.
While you're a client of theirs, you can download it at will. But as soon as you stop being their client, they'll charge you for, I can't remember what they call it, some processing fee to send you all of your stuff. And that's actually, that's not really a dig on them. That's a pretty standard practice. If you're not a client
standard
anymore,
practice, I will say we do the same thing, honestly. It's just pretty standard practice within the accounting profession. You got to go download your stuff, and whether it's, hey, we've sent you a tax return 5 times, we're pretty flexible about things. We technically say, hey, we can bill you for sending you your tax return a second time. It's mainly just to keep us safe from the burden of people calling and asking for the same thing over and over and over. Right. So it's kind of one of those, like, we're going to be good to you. We're going to treat you right, but we've got some protections there so that we don't get overburdened with repeat requests.
Yeah, you don't want them calling 9 times for the same damn thing you've already sent them because they lost it and they peed on it or whatever. I'm just saying.
Or their dog or cat did in the truck. Yeah.
Right. James Vaughn is asking, hey, so look, he says he's asking for a friend. James lives in Mexico.
Oh.
And runs in the US. And James, you should explain more of what you're asking because your question sucks. I'm sorry. It's not a bad question. It's not a stupid question. It's just a poorly worded question. So put up a real
he
question.
basically wants to know, he lives in Mexico, runs a business in the United States. I think that everything in his business is registered in Mexico. Do you handle that sort of operation?
But
we do not do any. Yeah, we don't do any Mexican tax filings. I've been asked the same thing about Canada. We do not do any Canadian tax filings. However, if you are doing business in the United States and you need to file a United States of America tax return, we will do that for you and then provide you the forms which you would then probably need to use in your Canadian or Mexican tax return.
Fair enough. So
I just want to. I also want to point out real quick, Colton. So, because I've observed this, it's not just in your firm, but it's in a lot of firms. These guys, when they're trying to build a relationship with you, trying to land you as a client, will talk to you and give you advice and things like that. But at some point, guys, pay them in.
Trigger, right? Yeah.
We see a few people, oh, they don't return my calls. And then I find out what it is, well, you've never engaged their services.
Right.
So let's do the right thing. If we're going to use a service, let's pay for the service. And I can tell you that once you are an actual client of CFO, the average turnaround right now, Colton, when I need something from Jessica, is within, I think the longest has been 48 hours. It was because she was out of the office. So I mean, I told you guys a few months ago I had that question that I didn't expect an answer to right away, and she called me like a half hour after I sent the email with an answer. That kind of surprised me. I had to actually get back to my computer and log back in so I could talk to her about it, because I was not expecting that kind of response time.
Hey, if any of you guys are watching this on the replay, make sure if you have a question and it hasn't been answered during the show, put it down there in the comments. And if Jeff and I or Donna or one of our people can't answer it, we're going to send it straight to Colton. Wow, I always point the wrong way. We're going to send it to Colton, and we're going to ask him, like, bro, we're dumb. Can you fix this? And he's going to be like, yeah. And he'll give us an answer if he's got an answer. Yeah. And if not, we're going to say, hey, you know what? You should hire Colton and Trucker CFO, and you could probably get an answer faster than what we could do on the YouTube channel. Just saying.
Or maybe Kathleen answers it. Because
right.
Have you ever seen The Wizard of Oz? You ever seen The
Uh-huh.
Wizard of Oz? Yeah. She's like the person behind the curtain. Yeah.
Right.
That's Kathleen, the Trucker CFO.
I dig it. Yep. Look, everybody needs one of those. I don't have one.
Tony's got one over at Seabright.
I need a magic person behind the screen.
I've got one.
Jeff, you need to send me Tony's info.
I do. Okay.
Yeah.
I will. I'm gonna make it happen. Watch this.
One of you need to send me Tony's info.
Talk amongst yourselves. You're gonna get it.
Yeah.
All right.
You're gonna.
Yeah. We need to iron out that offer thing.
Yeah.
That we've been talking about. So for those of you that maybe didn't catch it, Tony surprised the world last time he was on, and what he would like to do is offer Colton services to you for a one-time, let's look at the health of your business consult. And if you have Seabright insurance, they will credit that amount that you pay Colton to your Seabright bill. So essentially it's free. Just to give Trucker CFO a call and say, hey, can you look at my books real quick and tell me, do I know what I'm doing? Do I need to make changes? Am I even making money? And I got to tell you, Colton, there's a reason why someone like Tony would do that. His business is the insurance business. And he would really, really like to have people pay their premiums on time.
Right.
And that's the thing in any business. You want your receipts payable to pay. Mm-hmm. Receivable. I don't know. I'm not an accountant. But you want your clients to pay you in a timely manner. And what he has noticed in the trucking industry, and it's not just Swift, I don't think, but because he's been doing trucking insurance for like 20 years, but a lot of owner operators don't even know if they're making a profit or not. They just don't know. And he feels that if we can educate you guys and get you on track, watching your numbers, knowing what you're doing and what you're not doing, and maybe make a few changes, it benefits him because you're going to pay him on time. That's what it is, man. It's a total win-win. You get the service that tells you, yes, you're making a profit. No, you're not. And here's some changes you can make. And Tony has a more reliable client. That's what this is. This is business 101, guys. And then I'm pretty sure that Colton's hope is that you say, hey, that was a really good service to sign up for Trucker CFO.
Right.
So
Tim the Trucker Saber said, I've explained on the other forum, he's talking about in our Facebook group, that he'd signed up for the 800-pound gorilla just weeks before getting involved with Contractors Corner. So he does want to give them a chance to prove themselves, but he does like what he hears. Do y'all have an app to upload documents and receipts?
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We have an app. It's called Email. Are you familiar with Email? There you go.
We've had a whole discussion on this app thing before, so I like this discussion.
I say it a little bit tongue in cheek, and it's not to make light of the question. It's a valid question, and apps are obviously, kind of all the rage.
They're all the rage.
Yep. Yeah. So here's the thing. It takes one. It increases our prices because we have to manage that app. 2, it takes you longer to open the app and figure out what documents to upload and then submit them through the app than to just pull up an email, add your images or whatever, and send it. Like it's quicker that way. And we've done some questionnaires. We've talked to people about which they prefer, and we've decided that the best route for us and for our business is to continue with email. So the proven technology.
I can tell you, Colton, that I've used accounting services that have apps before, and half the time I couldn't log into them anyway.
Yeah,
so
they don't work. They break down. You get updates to iOS or Android or whatever it may be, and the app developers aren't up on it. It's just very problematic usually. You may have a period of time where it works fine, but email is tried and tested and proven to work, and we've got 2 very simple email addresses that you send this to. So if you have tax documents and you're engaged in our tax service, so this would be W-2s, 1099s, other tax documents, it's just tax@truckercfo.com. Send them all there. Your receipts, including settlements, if you're with a motor carrier that we don't have an integration with, it just goes to receipts@truckercfo.com. Send it all the stuff there. It comes in, it's indexed. So as long as we have your email address associated to your account with us, then it comes right in, it's indexed, and it gets handled just fine. So the only time you run into issues is if you decide to change your email address and you don't tell us that or update it with us first, then we might run into an issue. But that's very far and few between.
Some of you may have noticed that I held my phone up, and what I did is I took a picture and I went to gallery and I hit share, and I meant to hit email, but I actually sent it to your phone, Colton. Sorry, I apologize for that one. But it'll be right underneath Tony's contact info. Just saying. But I mean, it literally took me 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So you can do the same thing with your receipt. Bam, take a picture, share it, send it to your email. Off it goes.
Yeah.
So Tim, they are not integrated with Swift. I won't get into that because it's a sore spot with me.
Tim asked a specific question: are you integrated with Swift?
But what I did do was I gave Jessica my username and password to the Swift portal, and she just goes in and pulls it every week.
Yep.
If you're not comfortable with that, just email it to them.
It's pretty simple. I mean, you can download it, send it. It's not a
which Colton, this will come to a shock to you, but we don't actually do everything the way we're supposed to either.
Yeah.
We're not perfect. And really, you should be downloading your settlements and putting them into a file folder on the cloud anyway.
Mm-hmm. You know what else you should be downloading and saving to the clouds is your ELD data.
Yeah.
Just saying.
For years, I was really good at it. I can tell you this year, I don't think I've downloaded any of my logs this year.
So here's a question for you,
damn it,
Colton, that just came up in my mind. So as an S Corp, I have to run per diem through payroll.
Yes.
And following your advice, what I do is I pay 90% of my wages as straight pay and 10% of my wages as per diem. Do I still need my logbooks to prove that I was out on the road under that scenario? Because as a sole prop, I would keep my logbooks as in case that I get audited and the IRS says, well, were you really out that many days that year? And I can say, yeah, here's my logbook. So same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Doesn't change. Because what's happening is you're getting a deduction, a tax deduction, and you could possibly have to justify that tax deduction. And so the best way to do that is to keep your logs.
That was my first audit. I was audited for per diem when I was still a sole prop, and I walked in with 12 logbooks because we were still in paper logs, and I had them all dated. And on the cover of all those logbooks, I had how many days I worked, how many full days, how many partial days. And the dude flipped through January and looked at every single page. He took one out of the middle of the stack, literally flipped through it, and said, "You're good, bro." It was awesome. He was like, "Dude, this is the best thing I've ever seen." He's like, "You are on it. I'm not going through every page. I believe this, just going by these."
So Tim says,
Tim
I've
the
never
trucker, they're
downloaded
just
my
going to have
log.
to take my word for it.
Let me know
Uh-huh.
how that works if you get audited. 'Cause,
Yeah, it's gonna suck if you
Tim,
do
they
get
don't
audited.
just take your word for it, I promise.
Yeah, they're going to want proof. And, there's other
Now,
ways
there
to
are
prove
other
it.
ways to justify it. Yeah, we were just saying the same thing, Jeff. There's other
like,
ways.
Like I have
Settlements.
all the bills of lading for the last 3 years are stored on my phone because I never clear my pictures, and that's how we submit bills of lading to Swift. I've got my settlements, I've got this, I got that, but yeah, the easiest way is that logbook.
Yep.
And like Kathleen said, in an IRS audit, you have the burden of proof. They don't have to prove anything. They can just say, nope. Show us. And if you can't show them,
you have to prove it.
Good luck if you can't show
And a shameless plug real quick, Colton and Charlie. The system that we are working on, which is the TIM system, will do all of this for you as long as you enter the data.
Right.
You will have a cloud storage for all of this in a nice, neat little system that
Driver
includes all your
file.
insurances, driver file, your logs, if you want to upload anything you want to upload into that cloud. And so if you ever get audited, if you ever kill somebody and the attorneys need proof of your business, you just send the files and there you go. Bam. So
It's awesome.
More to come on that in a few months.
Yeah, we're hoping that we'll flip that soon. That would be awesome. Hey, if you guys got any more tax questions, by all means, throw them up in the chat. We will get to them. Hey, you know what? If any of you actually want to call in, let me know. Let me know now if you want to call in. And I'll actually open the phone lines because that's always fun to do. And I don't want to open them if no one's going to call. I'm just saying. It costs me money just to even open the line, just sit there. And then I look at it. Nobody calls, whatever. And then sometimes, like, everybody calls, and it's great, but whatever.
So, Michael, you know what else that gorilla says? He says the gorilla has a calendar that you mark half day, full day on, and home days. That is true. But have you ever noticed at the end of the year when you get your tax paperwork from them, you still have to write down how many days you were out, how many half days you were out, how many days you were home? That calendar does absolutely nothing for you.
That makes me crazy.
It's data we already gave them, and they want it again and again and again. That's one of the things that really burned me out on those people. But anyway.
You know what else has a nice calendar that you can use to do something similar?
Your phone.
Outlook. I mean, whatever calendar you're using on your phone, it's right there. So just use it and mark it. Heck, I don't care if you just take what do they call them? Little sticky notes, like this right here. Just take that, stick it on your dash somewhere, and make a check mark like you're in prison. You know what I mean? Like one day, do 4 and then cross it for 5.
Just let it happen, Charlie.
Just let it happen.
I actually still have a Franklin planner.
Ooh.
Franklin.
I bet you got a pocket striker.
My mother-in-law worked for Franklin for years, and the guy that invented Franklin Day planners was my backdoor neighbor growing up.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Last name was Smith. He was related to Joe Smith, Jeff.
Yep.
He was like a something grandson of.
I have 10,000 inappropriate jokes, and you guys are talking about the Smith family. That's not fair.
Yeah, well, hey,
you set up so many jokes.
I actually was first introduced to Hiram Smith's material in middle school.
Were you?
I had a teacher that had the I can't remember what they called it back then, but it was his productivity on VHS tapes, and she played that for us, and that was my first introduction into this whole world of personal development all the way back then.
You a 7 Habits fan?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that guy grew up around here too.
I'm gonna go off the screen for a minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah, 7 Habits is actually the impetus for a lot of what I teach people when I'm coaching. I actually think the book itself is a little dated, but it is the #1 selling personal development book of all time.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
As of last year, they'd sold 55 million copies as of last year.
Yeah, that's why it became Franklin Covey.
Yep.
Don't know if people knew that or not, but anyway. Now, just like a lot of companies, they've gone the way of the dodo because of technology, but their principles still apply.
Yeah, they're still huge in the corporate leadership arena. They charge
Yeah,
a lot of money to
they
come
do.
in and help
That's where they make their
corporate
money.
types be better.
Hmm.
But yeah, I listen to a lot of business podcasts, and they come up from time to time on how their business is actually structured and how Stephen Covey, rather than making it a cult of personality like a lot of those guru types do. I mean, let's face it. Like, as much as I love like Tony Robbins, the dude's larger than life. When he dies, Tony Robbins is dead. Whereas Stephen Covey died 10 years ago, and his material is still selling like gangbusters. He made sure that it wasn't just him that was selling that product. Pretty interesting.
James Bond said he wanted to call. So the phone lines are up. The number is 813-LIVE-CC, 813-548-3722. If you want to call right now. I'm watching that screen because sometimes I don't watch it. And maybe that's why people don't call, because sometimes they sit on hold too long and I forget if they're there. And they hang up and they get mad at me. So if you want to call, by all means, call in. And sometimes it makes it easier to ask questions when you don't have to type them out all the way, because it's hard to type and typing is hard. Just saying. Hey, Michael said he sent a message to CFO email. Is that a start, or should he call? And then Kathleen, look, Kathleen's all over. I see your email, Mike. We'll contact you tomorrow. Thanks.
Yeah.
Fire, man. Fire.
There's a question up there by user CW801971, whoever that is.
CW, yep.
There you go. So I use a server at home for my info. Can I deduct part of my utility bill, as we are away from home 3 months at a time? No one is there while we are out, only the computer server. So the answer is yes, and it depends on several things. So we're going to need to look at home office deduction and how that applies. If you're an S corporation, home office deduction does not apply. You have to set up an accountable plan, which is different. So yeah, there are several different ways that you can potentially take a deduction for the cost of that server, both as an asset in the business as well as the power that is used to run that server.
Let's start getting into that weird percentage of the floor space stuff for a residence and a business and all that. That sounds like so much damn work to me. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a pretty unique situation, but for most truckers, you're out on the road away from home. You're getting your per diem deduction for being on the road away from home, and they'll say, "Hey, I want to take the home office deduction." And we're like, "Okay, well, where in your house is the office? How big is it?"
Right.
And so we'll ask some questions. Most of the time, it's just not worth the risk of taking the home office deduction. It is a red flag, right? It is a red flag to the IRS that can increase your odds of being audited. That in and of itself does not mean you shouldn't take it, but the threshold for qualifying for the home office deduction is it has to be used regularly and exclusively in your business. So let's look at those two terms, regularly and exclusively. Well, regularly, if you're an over-the-road trucker and it's just you, and you're out on the road for 320 days a year, how is it possible that you could be using your home office regularly when really you're out away from home for 320 days a year? So you don't qualify there. And then exclusively, if you are away and there's other people at the house, can you guarantee they're not going into that office to pay bills or going into that office to pick their nose or, whatever the case may be? It's probably not being used exclusively. So it's a pretty high bar, and one that, you might save $200 or $300 a year in tax. Is it really worth it
to get flagged?
You decide. Yeah.
Hey, Michael said, where were you guys 25 hours ago when I first went? Oh, I'm pretty sure he means years, but that's just fun to say out loud.
Well, that's why we do what we do, is because Charlie and I made a lot of mistakes when we started 17 years ago. There was no Facebooks back then. There was nobody to help us. We just made mistakes and learned from them. And so we figured, well, in the digital age, why are people still operating that way? Why can't we have a community online where people can ask questions and learn stuff and make contacts to expand their businesses?
All right,
Yeah.
someone's on the phone.
Is it James Vaughn?
I don't know, but what it does say, the auto screen says, "Just a mess with you, Charlie." Says, what could go wrong here? Hey, you're on the show. Who is this?
I give you two guesses.
Oh,
The
it's
first two don't
James.
count.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys.
What's up, man?
Hey, not a lot. Hey, by the way, I finally put the translation up for what I keep saying into the chat, so if you want to figure it out.
Oh, cool. That's a lot of words, bro. I will look at it.
Yeah. Right. And Jeff, to answer your question on the saffron thing, can you get my number from Jeff? Because that's going to be way easier than me sitting down trying to talk to you through Facebook Messenger on that.
Sure.
I'm going to be honest about that, because that whole operation was almost 3 years of work just to get it put together. So, yeah. And yeah, it was interesting.
So I gotta ask you why we got you. So saffron, you said you do you pick it? Do you plow it? I mean, how do you deal with saffron? And like, how did you process it?
Saffron, this is where things get weird. To actually harvest it yourself, because it's just a little red thread inside this purple flower, you actually have to pull that out by hand.
Holy hell.
So, yeah, that's where things get weird.
So you grow this whole damn plant to pull a thread out of a flower.
Yep.
Pretty much. A red pull maybe 2 or 3 max out of a flower.
Who was the first knucklehead that did that? That's what I want to know, because that guy had way too much time on his hands. He's like, I wonder what I could do with this little red thread inside this flower. Let me grind it up, see if it tastes good on my food.
But the thing is the minimum, and I do mean the minimum for 1 pound is $5,000. That's minimum.
Well, I can understand that with the work involved. Holy hell.
Yeah, I was watching the show Chopped on Food Network one time, and one of the contestants put a full tablespoon of saffron in her recipe, and I think the judges almost passed out.
It's an expensive plate.
I thought I had a heart attack just thinking about that. That dish went from being worth $20 to $1,000 right there.
That's insanity. Yep. So, Michael Fowler, real quick. Sorry, James. When I first started, we had a 2-day thing with Phoenix, like orientation. Yeah, they did that.
Yeah, we had that too.
And then they went to this video. What was a CD, DVD? Over the years, it morphed into a DVD presentation that was the most brutal thing to watch ever. It was produced by an 800-pound gorilla, and it was absolutely like everyone, once they went to that disc format and they just gave you the disc, here, watch this and get back to us when you're done. I never met anyone that I can think of that actually went through the whole thing. I did, because I'm a sucker and I'm just a glutton for punishment. I truly actually went through the whole damn thing, and I was like, this was not right. I wish they did an orientation of some sort. And Jeff and I actually want to do something like that. We've actually offered a service like that to Swift, and would like to offer that to other carriers down the road to help them with their onboarding and in processing of new contractors, because there's a lot of things.
Well, and the thing is, Charlie, is that, and I just got done talking to Becky Campbell about this. The reason they don't do that anymore is that $100 million lawsuit. That is absolutely why. And so these carriers really, again, not to toot our horn too much, they really need people like Charlie and I to come in and educate people, because they can't do it without the risk of being sued for misclassification.
Right.
It's crazy, Colton. I don't know if you follow those lawsuits all that much, but it's like, if the carrier helps these guys at all, they risk being sued for misclassification, because all of a sudden they're telling me what to do, and I'm just a glorified employee. I'm going to sue you because I couldn't figure out that paying full retail for fuel was unwise.
Right.
Well, and that's why a company like CR England just did away with the independent contractor model altogether,
Right.
and they're all company drivers now. So
Yeah. And look, that's been a fear for that's been one of my fears for years with our the company that we're contract to, Swift, that they would just get fed up and say to hell with it. And over honestly a couple people who did not read a contract, who I believe were children. I don't care if they're grown in age, but they were damn children, didn't read a contract, didn't understand what they got into, didn't know how to run a business, had no business running a business, and said, "To hell with it, I'm going to sue Big Daddy," and whatever. I mean, look, I got money from it.
Oh yeah.
I really, and look, I can tell you that I really struggle with that whole process.
Well, Charlie and I had conversations for days about if we were going to take that money or not, because we disagreed with the lawsuit so much.
Right.
But when you're faced with getting a check, it's like, but they're going to pay it out anyway.
Right.
Damage is done.
I looked at it from a personal standpoint, and I that was where I had a moral dilemma, right? And then I looked at it from my business's standpoint, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I do tend to make those separations. And I said, well, my business said we need the money. My personal side said, you're a jerk if you take that money because you've been so against that lawsuit. And ultimately, for me, my business went out because I needed to take care of my business so that my business could take care of me. That's honestly how I came to the final decision to take the check. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I mean, people can slam me for it or say I did right. I don't know.
Well, and that's what
It is
convinced
what it
me
is.
was Charlie, was when you said, let's think about this with our brains and not our hearts, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
It sucked.
But the thing is, Colton, every time one of these lawsuits goes through, there's a danger of us losing our businesses as a result. That's one of the consequences of these lawsuits. And the people that are levying them don't care. They've already failed. They're done trucking. They don't care about my business, my house, my family.
Yeah, and that was one of those things where I thought, well, okay, if they shut down the owner-operator division at Swift, I'm going to need that, those few $1,000s. Mine was a pretty small chunk of the settlement. I know others that got very large ones, and I'm like, power to you. I had no judgment against anybody about it. Don't get me wrong. But I was like, I may need those few $1,000s to help me transition into a new carrier.
Yep.
And I also needed what did I do then? That was around the time of my transmission rebuild, maybe. I can't remember. But I know all of a sudden it was like I needed something. Hey, James, sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to cut you off there, buddy, but thanks for calling in. If anybody else wants to call in, the number's scrolling across the bottom, 813-548-3722. If you got questions for Colton Lawrence, he's here, right now. You can call in right now. Call that number, 813-LIVE-SEC, 548-3722. You can ask him live on the phone. Or if you're watching this on the replay and you want to talk to one of his people over at Trucker CFO, you can go to www.truckercfo.com. You can send an email to info@truckercfo.com, or you could call him at, damn it, what's the number? Throw it, Colton. What's the number?
800-533-4230.
Thank you, sir. Good God, I had it and I lost it.
CW. So he was the one that asked a question about the server. So he also said he's got a laptop on the truck and deducts it. I don't know if he's saying he does deduct it or if he's asking if he can deduct it. Either way, yes, you can deduct your laptop that you use in your business.
Yeah, because that's a straight what do you call it? A business device, right? I mean,
yeah, it doesn't matter if you use it for personal. You've got to have a laptop out on the truck to do really much of any business, along with your phone. So both of those would be business devices. Your cell plan, you have to take a look at that. But
just to screw with you here, Colton. So with us doing the Contractors Corner thing, with us running our trucking businesses, so I purchased a laptop a year and a half ago, I think. How should I have handled that? Because it's partially used for my trucking business, partially used for the Contractors Corner thing. How should I have classified that? Should I have had to split it? Should I just eat it on one and use it for the other?
Just you take the deduction on one, get some of the benefit on the other. The main thing is,
Gotcha.
don't take it in both, right? Just don't
Right.
double up on the deduction.
Right. Yeah. No.
In your
I was
guys'
just, I
case,
don't know why it
I-
just ticked in my brain.
I can tell you the way I think about it, Charlie, is I deduct as much as I can on the trucking side because we don't
Right.
make any money on the Contractors Corner side right now, so I'm not worried about the taxes there.
Ain't that the truth?
also any expenses in the partnership, right? So you guys have a partnership with Contractors Corner. Any deductions there get split 50-50.
Right.
So even if you personally, Charlie, paid for that, that's going to count as a contribution to the partnership, but then Jeff gets 50% of the benefit of that expense.
Right.
So
Yeah, that was a whole new learning experience for Jeff and I both. You know, when we started talking about, you know, the contribution and the benefit side of things, that, you know, oh, if I put, let's just say I put a $5,000 piece of equipment into the company, and I'm like, hey, here's $5,000 worth of computer or whatever, right? From a technical standpoint, we're both supposed to enter in that amount. Isn't that correct, to stay 50-50? Or is there a way to split it up? Like, you know, because look, I'm kind of a gadget whore, and I buy things for,
You think?
yeah, look, it's true. Look,
We had
I'm
an
just saying.
argument about this at one point, Colton,
Right.
and the F-bomb may have been used by both parties.
Both parties, yes. And
you have what's called partnership basis.
Right.
And you there are equity accounts associated with your basis. So depending on how much money you each put into the company and how much money you each take out of the company, it affects those equity accounts. And it is really important in a partnership that you keep those equal. So if you came in as 50-40, you need to come out as 50-40. If it starts to change, then you run into some tax implications that you don't want to deal with.
So why we got you?
So obviously we're talking about Contractors Corner right now, but there are people out there, and I hope they are listening.
Right.
We hope to get that part of the business too. There's partnerships out there. Like we met people at the expo that were partners in their expedited businesses.
Right.
So let me ask the question this way. You have their company, ABC Transportation, that's got however many trucks and so much cash in the bank. And they use the company debit card to buy something like cameras for the trucks. Since it's company money, isn't it already split 50-50? Because it's company money that's sitting in the company account. You don't have to worry about like let's say Charlie made the decision to buy, say, a GoPro camera for Contractors Corner to do videos with, and that was taken out of the Contractors Corner business account to pay for. Is that already split 50-50? Or does Jeff need to then put money into that account to balance the books?
No. So as long as it came out of the Contractors Corner bank accounts, it's Contractors Corner's money. But the example we were using is if Charlie personally buys it out of his bank account,
like,
and then says, "Hey, I want to
camera."
Yeah, I want to contribute this, and we want to take it as a write-off for Contractors Corner, but it came out of his cash. That's where you run into problems with your equity accounts, and you've got to figure out a way to write them correctly.
I got smart, and I decided that Charlie wanted a fancy camera, so Charlie bought a camera for Charlie. And
That's
Contractors
fine.
Corner.
Whatever. We're done with that conversation.
I know. I look this. Look, man.
No, but you know, when you're in a partnership, if you guys
Yeah.
decided to go into a partnership with somebody, though, these are things you got to look at.
You
know,
should have
like
heard
Charlie
me
and I.
yeah.
When Charlie and I started Contractors Corner, we were both ponying up a certain amount of money, and it was equal. And then that's how we started. And it's important to make sure that everything is equal. Because
In
there's
my
a
defense-
what's it called, a case something, Colton, that you file for the partnership, and isn't that what balances the account out or something like that? I'm so fuzzy on some of that.
Okay, so there are ways. The best practice is what you guys were saying earlier. Just don't ever buy something and then, don't ever have one of the partners buy something and then contribute it, because then the other partner has to come in with an equal contribution to the business to keep his or her equity accounts in line.
Okay.
Now, there are situations where you have what are called guaranteed payments for partners. So if one of you happens to be driving, and it's known that that one's going to drive longer or more than the other one, we recommend you set up these guaranteed payments to compensate for that, instead of running everything through draws. Because one way is you could just take a 50-50 draw, and even though one partner drives more than the other, technically you're still subject to a 50-50 draw. So by doing guaranteed payments, you can compensate for differences in the amount of time you're driving, and then after that do a 50-50 draw. So
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things that people ask us all the time: is it beneficial to team drive? And my opinion on that is, unless you're in a committed relationship with that person, I probably would not do it.
It's tough.
And that's why it's the disparity in how much you're driving. And even on a company side, people think, oh, I'll go team because there's more mileage. Well, then they get in a situation where they're driving 10 hours a day and their partner's driving 5 hours a day. But guess how? So it pays you 50-50.
Right.
Yeah.
Based on the mileage of the truck. And so feelings get hurt. Sometimes police are called.
Yeah, partnerships. It is not very often that we see partnerships that are not a husband-wife or a marriage, I guess I should say,
Right.
that work out, right? So, we've had situations where two individuals get teamed up at orientation and they decide to form a partnership, and it goes to hell in a handbasket, right? Imagine that. And it's a legal, like there are legal repercussions to that. There's an operating agreement that you can't just decide not to do it, right?
Right.
And people get sued and it gets expensive, and it's just I'm not saying not to do a partnership. I'm saying think long and hard before you do a partnership with somebody other than your significant other.
Right. Look, with me and with Jeff and I should say, with Jeff and I, we have these debates at times, right? Because we tell people what idiots we are all the time.
We have differing opinions at times.
Right. And it gets really interesting and really heated at times. I mean, like we had the F-bomb conversation. That was fun. And it was just, and we just had to work it out. Because if you can't communicate with your partner, I don't care if it's your spouse, your significant other, your dog, whatever, or in this instance, Jeff and I, if you can't work it out with your partner, you're doomed, right? So you got to be able to communicate, which goes back to all of the other things we talk about all the time, communication being key. Good communication keeps things flowing the way that they need to be flowing. And that's true in so many different aspects. It's insane.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
And you guys are basically significant others anyway.
Yeah, but
only because we don't have to live together.
If we spoon, he's got to be the little one. Just saying, your legs are too short.
Just let it happen, Charlie.
Stop it. There's been some good conversation up here in the chat. And Kathleen has been answering questions, but I'm gonna throw them up anyhow because it's important, I think. Just so other people who maybe aren't watching and just listening to the show hear this. Mike Henderson asked, he said, my family might move back to Washington State. Can I write off flying home once a month? Kathleen did answer that, but I'm gonna let Colton do it for fun.
Throw up what Kathleen said.
Okay. Kathleen did say it's a personal expense, not a business expense. And then
I think that just real quick, I have a thought on that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Colton, which is about a 50-50, of course. So it's kind of like the personal mileage on your personal car. I cannot claim the mileage on my car when I go from my house to the terminal for the purposes of getting in my truck and going to work, because that's commuting. But you know what's across the street from the West Valley City Terminal, Colton? A Freightliner dealership. If I use the car to go to the Freightliner dealership, pick up a part, and come back, I can deduct that. That's a business expense.
Yeah.
I cannot deduct commuting, but I can deduct going to get a part.
So
Keep good records.
this is one we will take the approach that Kathleen has put up there within the business. That being said, it's one that the government, the IRS, if you're audited, it's probably going to come down to the auditor on a maybe. There's a lot of gray stuff, and this is one that's probably in the gray. But we like to keep people out of the gray and keep them safe from the IRS. So that's why we
one
fall
thing,
on that
that's
side
one
of
thing
it.
we can definitely say about you and your folks at truckercfo.com is you do tend to be a little more straight, black and white. You are shooting for the black, right? Not the gray. Other firms out there will tell you things. Yeah, you could probably get away with that.
Mm-hmm.
And
here's why.
Weird.
Well, here's why. At the end of the day, is it worth it? And it really probably isn't, right? Like you're going to go to sleep every night for the next 10 years wondering if you're going to get audited and if you're going to pass that audit.
Right.
When at the end of the day, that expense didn't make that big of a difference. There's so much better, more productive and beneficial lower hanging fruit that we go for, right? Than this stuff that's in the gray and that you want to sit and debate. Like, yeah, it's fun to debate that stuff, but heck, let's spend our time and focus on stuff that's going to get you a bigger bang for your buck. That those other firms, they may be spending their time in the gray, but they're not, as you guys well know, they're not taking care of filing your S corporation and saving you thousands and thousands of dollars. Right. Like maybe they did deduct your airline tickets, but they didn't file you as an S corporation when you qualified. And so, yeah, you saved $100 on the airline ticket, but you missed thousands and thousands of dollars on your S corp election. Which one would you rather have?
Exactly. Yep. So Michael Fowler threw up, should we have separate bank account to distinguish trucking stuff from personal stuff? Kathleen answered that one as well. And she said, yes, that is a wise idea.
Yes. The only thing wrong with what Kathleen said there is that she didn't bold it, capitalize it, and underline it.
Right.
So, there you go.
So call too. Before I filed for an LLC, I had 2 bank accounts anyway. I had one for my road account and I had one for the house. And it was an 80-20 split. I got 20% of my income for living expenses on the road, and the rest went to the wife's account. And then when I got my S corp, obviously I did get a business account that I run my payroll through and linked all the accounts so I can do draws and stuff without too much problem with the rest of the money above my reasonable compensation.
Yeah. Do not mingle personal with business.
Yeah, you need
piercing the veil, as they call it, right?
It's just a bad.
Who's on the phone? Because the auto screener just says phone booked, and that's awesome. You're on the phone.
Hello, Charlie.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Who's this?
This is Craig.
Oh, my bad. I didn't let you speak long enough. I would have heard. I would have figured it out. What's up, Craig? Craig Hudson, everybody. Woo!
Not much. Got a question for Colton. You know, the big 800-pound gorilla that gives you a list of things that you shouldn't, quote unquote, write up on your taxes because it could, raise a red flag for, an audit, per se. What is your recommendation when it comes down to, certain things? Do you have certain things that you recommend that shouldn't be written off on your taxes just to avoid an audit? Or if you have a good service, for example, Trucker CFO, we shouldn't be afraid of being audited.
That's right. Yeah, that's the thing I tell people first and foremost is don't worry about the audit itself, right? As long as you're doing things on the up and up and you've got somebody behind you that's going to back you, you don't need to worry about the audit. Now, that's easier said than done. I myself was audited back in, it's been a long time, 02, 03, somewhere in that time frame. It was before I had actually completed my CPA. I was in school to become a CPA. And so I had, I didn't have the experience that I now have, but I was getting it, and I was nervous going into I was a sit down audit in front of the IRS agent. And yeah, I was shaking a little bit because I knew everything was on the up and up. I knew what they were auditing, and it was still a little bit nerve wracking. So I get it. But at the end of the day, as long as you're doing things the way you're supposed to, you don't need to worry. That being said, are there things that we recommend you shy away from? Sure. Personal expenses being one. Stay away from deducting personal expenses. There's a lot of gray with personal expense. And so you want to avoid things like clothing. You want to avoid things like over-claiming on your per diem deduction. You want to make sure you're not taking health insurance deductions for the types of plans that don't qualify. Those are a few examples that kind of come to mind right now. But the most important thing is that you have a good process in place. You've got folks that are tracking the information for you and that understand trucking, but are not overwhelmed by the volume of clients that they have.
Yeah, and that was one of my big concerns too with the big 800-pound gorilla, is that I felt like in my experience with them, they're not thorough on a lot of things because they're so overwhelmed with trying to build such a big base that to them it's more about quantity versus quality. And I feel like when you're looking for a good accountant, it should be about the quality.
Yeah.
So on that, CW had a thing here that I think goes along with it. He said if you use a uniform for the truck, he's stating it can be deducted, name on shirt, etc. But isn't that kind of one of those gray spots?
So can you deduct uniforms? Yes. If you have a logo, you guys have your Contractors Corner Consulting logo, and you have some swag. Okay, there you go. You're wearing it. That is deductible for sure. You can deduct that expense. I have the same thing for Trucker CFO. Let's see here.
It's a brand new hoodie. I want you to know, anyone that's interested in these hoodies, oh my God, the inside, you'll want to wear it with no shirt underneath. I'm just saying. And those hats are the most amazing hats ever.
Yes.
Colton has.
Yeah.
They are phenomenal hats. Oh
yeah,
my God.
from what I hear, you can even take sticky notes and cover up the logo if you want to.
What?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, I've heard that's been done, but so anyway, it is deductible. It is deductible, and you can write it off. You've got to be careful though, in terms of the amount. Like you don't want to every single time you buy a piece of clothing, stick something on it and call it uniform. When it comes to actual uniforms, we do have clients, especially in last mile and in some other types of freight like that. Courier, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Courier type work. We have a number of courier clients. They are required to wear a specific uniform, and those are absolutely deductible. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, not to get in the weeds.
Black and purple polos with matching shorts, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that doesn't qualify as a uniform. Yeah.
I'm thinking FedEx. That's what colors they are.
Yeah. Well, okay. If FedEx requires you to wear something, then I guess it's gonna be logo. But don't just go to Walmart and buy the same outfit 10 times and call it a uniform. That doesn't work.
Right. Would it assist you? I'm trying to figure out how to say this, and because I'm thinking so long, it just sounds stupid. But like in your company, your business, you should have some sort of written detail of what is required of you and your employees. And if you put in there that you must wear a Contractors Corner hoodie and Contractors Corner t-shirts and things like that, that is a required item for your job. You could then, and if you're required to purchase them on your own, then you would be able to deduct that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That sounded really hard to say. I'm sorry. I'm broken.
Michael Fowler, I learned something here every Tuesday. Keep up the great job.
Thank you, sir. We like you.
So for those
This is
of you,
the only place to be at this time on Tuesday. I will say that.
I appreciate that 100%.
Charlie, you been following James Vaughn's comments about Texas?
Yes and no.
There's apparently there is border crossing closed due to migrant crisis hurts cross-border trade as Christmas nears. And he says that is why Texas is in the red right now for Swift, because there's just nothing coming across.
Right.
I was kind of wondering about that because I haven't been down to like Laredo in a long time, but I've heard people getting reposition loads from Laredo up to Dallas, which is kind of backwards in my experience. Usually it's the other way around. So
right.
If you're hitting that area,
he's
beware.
also saying that's because one of the railheads are closed near Eagle Pass. It's been closed for about a week now. And he also followed up, the railroad company is demanding that the crossing in El Paso and Eagle Pass, where being Border Patrol agents have been overwhelmed by a surge of migrants coming into the U.S., be reopened immediately. So, I mean, yeah, it's just, that's a lot of information. And I mean, that's a thing. Craig, did you have anything else before I go off on something else? I apologize, man. I always forget people are on the phone too. Maybe that's why people don't call, because I'm a jerk.
It's your fault.
No, it was all.
Thanks, man. We appreciate you, Craig. Good to hear from you, buddy. I need to call
man.
you soon. We need to catch up.
Yes, sir.
Tim the Trucker Saburn said, so if I elect to stay in a hotel while my truck is waiting for parts to give myself a break from the in-cab experience, is that hotel stay deductible? And look, Kathleen once again answered this one. She is on the ball, man. You know,
Yes.
Kathleen, you're awesome. She did say, yes, that is a business deduction. So, yeah.
Charlie and Rosie are going to take you out to the Red Iguana next time he's in town.
Okay. There you go. We'll do that. Because someone else won't take me, but whatever. I'm just saying.
Well, you'd have to come to town first.
You know, that is true. You've got me on that one. So, anybody on from Troutdale? Anybody watching from Troutdale today? Oh, Jeff and I had a shaken up this week. Jeff and I no longer have our driver leader that he's had for 17 years and I've had for 15. Swift and our driver leader parted ways. That's on them, whatever. All I know is that I don't have my driver leader OOC person anymore, and I'm really sad about that. I am all kinds of screwed up over this, and we're having to make some decisions. We're, Jeff's typing like a mad beast over there. He's going to tell me something in a message. I can just see it happen.
Not me.
Okay. But yeah. So, hey, you know what? If you're watching this on the replay, or if you're watching it right now, do us a favor. Go down in the comments. Tell us who you think a good OOC and a good terminal would be for Jeff and for Jeff and myself. I never point the right damn direction. Who do you think a good terminal and OOC for Jeff and I, and why?
This came up in the private group on Facebook yesterday. Someone was asking how you get a new
right
OOC, and my answer is, why do you need to get rid of the old one? First thing you should be doing is building a relationship with the person you have if you can. But so lemonade out of lemons here. This gave Charlie and I the opportunity to talk to Lonnie Raines, the terminal leader there in Troutdale, about, okay, so what do we do now that our OOC is no longer there? Who do you got? And we do really like Linka is another DL driver leader there. She actually retired 2 years ago and hasn't left yet, so go figure that one out. But we're going to try and see, because a little history. Troutdale is in Oregon, for those of you who don't know, and as you know, it's one of the forbidden states. They cannot hire contractors out of that state because of AB5 type laws. That does not mean that we can't work out of that terminal, though. We just can't live in Oregon and be a contractor. So they went from, before AB5, having 50 owner-operators, which they loved, down to 6 now. That's what we're at Troutdale.
Jeff and I are 2 of them. We make up a third of that.
Yeah. So we got talking to Lonnie, who's a just salt of the earth guy, about, hey, if you're interested in having more owner operators on your board, let's talk. Let's see if we could build a relationship between Troutdale and owners. and maybe we can make something happen there.
Yeah, the beauty is you don't
Because-
have to live there, because I've been out of Troutdale forever,
Yep.
and I'm in Florida.
And I could tell you one of the biggest benefits of working with that crew is they have really good 24/7 coverage.
Their weekend coverage is like the best.
Right. So,
In fact, I believe they're actually the best weekend coverage in the network.
yeah, I think so too.
So
And I can't let this one lie because it's already sticking in my craw from another conversation I had. CW, I prefer less contact with the office myself. I only talk to the OOC once a month unless there's an issue. Why is that, CW? Why do you not want to talk to your customer? I'm just going to let that hang there for a second.
fair question.
Why are you not talking to your customer at least once a week? And I don't care if it's just a phone call to say, hey, how you doing today? That's your customer, bro. So that's part of being a business owner is customer service. And in this conversation I was having on the Facebooks, I will point out that my coming of age professionally was in customer service and sales. So maybe it's a little more natural to me to think this way. But Swift is your only customer. Talk to them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, if you're contracted to a single carrier, that is your customer. Look at it that way. I'm telling you, it'll change the way you do business.
Yep. And he follows up with, keep rolling and talk to planners. Okay, that's great. Yeah, but I'm telling you, if you foster that relationship with your OOC, you'll do even better. You know, it's illegal for us to guarantee anything. Apparently, right. I actually just learned that from a class I took, Colton. I can't guarantee anything, or I might be sued.
Yeah.
But
that's why my favorite word is it depends.
Right.
Dollars to donuts, though. If you foster that relationship with your OOC, you will see it. Your business improve. It just does. So any contact you make at Swift. You know, I have a whole list of planners and people that in my planner, in my Franklin planner, that I can message, call, whatever if I'm stuck somewhere. What are you?
Hey, can we go back to the question about airfare?
Absolutely.
About what?
About airfare. Kathleen just pointed something out to me that I want to make sure we were understanding the question correctly.
I'm trying to find where the hell it went. Oh, that was the one about flying home once a month to Washington.
Yeah.
That was, I'm scrolling, sorry. I lost it. It's up high.
Oh, I see it. So my family might move back to Washington State. Can I write off flying home once a month? Okay, yeah. So okay. The question, when we answered the question, it was understood that he was asking about flying to Washington State to look into moving back to Washington State, right? So if you're, because we've had clients, it's like, oh, hey, I want to move to Florida. And so they'll fly to Florida to kind of investigate moving to Florida. That's a personal expense, okay? And that's what Kathleen was calling out. However, if you're out on the road, and your family's in Washington State, and you're out on the road and you're in Ohio, that is a business deduction if once a month you're going to fly back home, take a week off, and then fly back out to your truck, wherever it might be. That's a business deduction. It's no different than me, trucker CFO. I fly out to Louisville for the Mid-America Truck Show and I fly back. It's a business expense.
Okay.
So yeah, so sorry for the misunderstanding on the question. If you're looking into moving, it's going to be considered a moving expense, which is personal and is not going to qualify as a deduction. However, if you're out on the road and you're just doing it once a month, like it says in the question, then yes, it is deductible.
Okay. See, I always thought the opposite of that too.
Yeah, me too.
Because I was going to do that from when I was running Walmart out of Temple, because we were working 3 weeks over there. And then we were deadheading home, like bobtailing home from Temple, Texas back to Florida every 3 weeks. And then we'd grab a load out of Florida over to Dallas and start all over again. And then we decided we were doing so well. We're like, this is stupid. Let's just start flying home. And I thought I was not going to be able to write it off. So I just absolutely gave up the idea. I was like, well, that's I don't know. It's going to be weird.
Yeah,
and then so I didn't do it. Dang it. That would have been good then.
Yeah. And I think what caused her to think about it is I think further on down, he asked about, well, how about renting a car rentals? So
Right.
same thing. So whether you're renting a car or you're flying home or you're using a personal vehicle, the only time it's not going to be deductible for that type of travel is if it falls within the construct of a commute, right? So if your terminal, let's say you live in Phoenix,
Right.
and you're commuting from Chandler to the terminal at Swift, that's going to be commute, and there's no deduction there. But if you live in California, San Diego area, and you drop the truck off at the terminal in Phoenix, and you buy a plane ticket, or you rent a car, or you have a car there at the terminal and you drive home, that mileage is going to be deductible, the car rental will be deductible, or the airfare will be deductible.
So I want to point out though, Mike, you're going to want to call safety and find out if you have to log that flight.
Ooh.
Because there's been some issues with that have been hitting the news wires lately. Guys getting log violations for not logging flight time when they're going to pick up a truck and things like that.
Right. Because that should be on duty time.
Which I call BS on, but if they're
Right.
writing tickets, you probably ought to make sure that you're doing the right thing there.
I could totally see them doing that too.
Yeah.
Huh. You can't call it. I'm trying to run through the safety side of that, and I'm like, oh man, there is a weird little thing there where they could get you, huh? I didn't even think about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's always something, man. It's always
right.
something.
Oh gosh. All right. Hey, last call, y'all. We're at hour 53. If you got any more pressing questions, by all means, throw them up right now. We will get to them right now. If not, put them down there in the comments afterwards, and we'll do our best to get you answers. If we can't answer them, we'll try and reach out to Colton, or hell, maybe we'll just get a hold of Kathleen. I'm just saying, she's on fire.
You guys can have her come on the show.
Right.
I just offered Kathleen to come on the show. She's going to hate me for that, but she's going to do it.
It'll be great.
So
be gentle. I stop it, Charlie. Just stop it.
So on cell phones, there's a business personal deduction, and the need or not for 2 phones. So let me tell you how I have my stuff, Colton. My cell phone and my hotspot that I use for business. That's all it is. It's on the truck with me all the time. Do I take calls for my wife and my mommy? Yeah, I do. But it's for business, I have that on a business account at Verizon with my business name on it.
That's a good way to go. And that will help. Put it this way. I've never been in an audit where the auditor has said, get me your cell phone call logs and tell me which numbers are business and which numbers are personal.
Right.
It's never happened. What we have seen is get into an audit and they say, okay, you've got 2 numbers on the plan that you're deducting. Who are these numbers for? One's for me, one's for wifey, or for, teenager. Then those will be disallowed for sure. So
yeah, the way I did it when everything was when everything was a joint account, all of our phones on one account, Donna would actually go through each bill every month and break out the charges for my phone and my hotspot, and that's what we would submit for deduction.
That's a good way to do it. But within your own number, although technically the IRS could say, hey, let's figure out what the business use and personal use percentage is, I've not seen it happen. So.
I like it. By
the way, Kathleen said ass ! To me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure what she meant to say was ask.
Yes.
With a K. I'm sure that's what.
And you shall receive.
Right.
So Donna is on the old 20-second delay, apparently.
Right. It's fun.
Listening to us on the YouTubes.
That's good. Let's see. I'm looking through the questions. I don't see anything else. So yeah, you guys. If we didn't get to it, if we didn't answer your question, I think we've kept Colton here. We're gonna put him to sleep or something. Kathleen, however, is on fire and clearly caffeinated or some sort of just naturally spirited. I don't know, something.
She is
I
very
get it.
naturally spirited. Yes.
That is awesome. I look,
Yep.
I am like that sometimes, and then the other part of the time, I'm like, oh my God, I use up too much at one time. Just saying.
Well, if anybody has questions on BOI, CTA, or FinCEN, give us a call.
You can reach out. You can reach out to Colton at www.truckercfo.com. You can get him through email, info@truckercfo.com. I'm trying to find my stupid button because I can't find it because I'm not smart. You can call 800-533-4230. Look, it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen right here, right now. All that information. Definitely reach out to him.
I highly recommend that you download his business guide part 1.
Right.
So do you have plans for a part 2, or is this kind of like
no, the part 2 is actually
George
done.
George Michael's Listen Without Prejudice Volume 1 that never got a Volume 2?
Right.
No, it is part 2 is done, and we actually are going to be reworking our tax guide for release here in the next 4 to 6 weeks as well.
And something that we haven't really promoted much, Colton, is that you have a podcast that people can listen to. I listen to it on Spotify. Just search for Trucker CFO, and he's got a podcast on there. Episodes are only about 20 minutes, but this whole show, between what I was getting from that other Facebook group, and then Colton actually did a podcast on this. As I was researching that stuff, I'm like, well, heck, let's just get Colton on and talk about it since he's talking about it already. So,
yep.
For you Swift contractors, this week's fuel surcharge is 0.434 for the standard OTR fuel surcharge because the price has dropped almost another dime this week. The standard OTR West Coast fuel surcharge dropped from 12 to 11 cents this week. Check out the EIA website. Watch that every week.
So this is really kind of strange, Charlie, because normally during the holidays,
it's going the other way.
It goes up. So I don't know what kind of wizardry people are doing right now, but it's weird.
Hey, can I make one last comment before you kick me out?
I will never.
I was just thinking back to the question about whether or not we're integrated with Swift, and the answer to that is no, as Jeff pointed out. However, that is not a problem at all. We have a number of Swift clients. We understand your settlements, and in fact, put our eyes on it much more closely than the integration would allow, and so we're much closer to the numbers as a result. So, doesn't make a difference. Give us a call, sign up.
I'm assuming that would be true for any carrier out there that someone is associated with that you don't have direct integration with. You just simply get in, send the numbers, and maybe provide access if that's a possibility, depending on, I don't know how other carriers handle their stuff. I don't know if people could even do that. I would assume they could, but, or at the very least, you could probably download it and send it right to them. And look, it's a simple email. I'm just saying.
Yeah. We have more clients with motor carriers for whom we are not integrated than we do with motor carriers that we are integrated. So we're very good at it and understand how to decipher your settlements and Swifts.
Any of you guys out there? Yeah. Any of you guys out there that are looking for insurance? First of the year's coming around. Might be a good time to look for insurance if you're paying too much. Definitely take a look at Seabright. That is the people that Jeff and I like to work with. They have some amazing rates, and we were just informed that they won't be going up in January like many other sources of insurance are this year because the Sue Happy people out there are doing mad things. Seabright told us they will not be going up this year. So for our folks, when you call them, the number is going across the bottom of the screen, 800-366-6466. Give them a call, let them know Contractors Corner sent you, and they will put you into a whole different plan from what they would do if you if you didn't mention Contractors Corner. So you don't have to be a Swift contractor. You just need to mention us, and there's a whole deal set up for you already. If you have horrible, bad accidents and a terrible driving record, they've got a plan for you. If you're just average, they've got a plan for you. If you are a great driver, they've got a plan for you. It's basically set up in 3 different tiers, and that's what they're going to be talking to you about. They're going to need to run your MBR and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, good to go. Make sure you mention Contractors Corner. Trucker CFO, Colton Lawrence, thank you so much for being here this week, man. We do appreciate you. This was like one of those, I got pissed off when Jeff told me about this. I'm like, filth, filth. And he's like, get over it, bro. I've already handled that. I'm past the angry, just understand we need to do this. And I'm like, I still don't understand. So thanks, man.
Happy to be here and happy to answer any other questions. So if you guys get questions after the fact, hit me up. I'm happy to help. And otherwise, give us a call, reach out, email, all those good things that they've already mentioned 1,000 times. Appreciate it.
We will see you all next week. Thank you all for being here. Jeff, last words?
Nope.
He's never
be safe. Keep the rubber side down. Be good to each other.
That's right. Nobody's out here looking after us but us, folks. And you know what? Instead of taking out your phone and watching that guy run into 3 trucks trying to back into a hole, maybe get out and help him guide him in a hole, huh? Just saying. On that note, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, like we are here every week. Thank you all for being here. Hang out 1 minute, Colton, if you could, and we will see y'all next week. Thank you so much. And we are going to hit the button, and it's